High crime, police brutality, and drug violence have plagued the city of Baltimore for years. But the death of Freddie Gray ignited an uprising like never before.
And a diverse collection of Zimmermans made up of street dudes and housing police, looking itchy to shoot anyone young and black and in Nike.
Author, teacher, and Baltimore native Dee Watkins is all too familiar with this reality. In his debut book, The B-Side, Dee explores racial inequality in America through his personal story and collection of essays.
It's basically a collection of love stories to everyone in America who had to deal with systemic racism, institutional racism, education disparities, healthcare disparities, and all of these different things that tend to plague a lot of black communities on one side. And then the other side of it is an education lesson for people who don't understand how these systems work.
It's really, really powerful. The B-Side, Living and Dying While Black in America.
Thank you.
So what inspired this book? What made you want to sit down and say, okay, I'm writing this memoir?
So before Ferguson, before Staten Island, before what happened in Baltimore, and this the collection of police murders and things that go on within the black community, black on black crime, things like that. You know, I've been documenting these things and writing about these things for years. So it's the rise of these mass police shootings, you know, started going viral. I've already had a body of work covering some of these same issues, and I think what made me want to put the B-Side out so bad was just this whole idea of, you know, no cell phone cameras, no justice, right? People don't really understand that these things happen on one side of the spectrum. I think the other side is basically, I wanted to deliver those elements of humanity to people who don't really understand what happens in these areas and what just happens in our communities in general.
You grew up on the east side of Baltimore. What was that like for you growing up as a black man in Baltimore?
I grew up in the height of the crack era, so, you know, and I'm lucky to be here and I'm lucky that I made it out. And none of these things are new. Poor schools have been around since I was a little kid. Police brutality has been around since I was a little kid. Food deserts have been around since I was a little kid. The only thing that's different is, you know, a shameless plug. Now all of these things are documented in one book, and we can read, you know, on the history of where some of these things come from, for one, and then two, develop our own coping mechanisms to make it through these systems. I used to be a person who used to say things like, let's fix the schools, but now...
Even as a little kid?
Not as a little kid. As a little kid, I was breaking the schools, but but you know, as an adult, as you know, as an activist and a revolutionary, I worked within the school system. I've tried to develop different things to get kids excited about reading and learning and things like that. But now I'm at a place where of acknowledgement. Like, we have to acknowledge the systems that are in place and then define what we think a win is and strategically construct a plan to get through it.
And so you said you used to be the one breaking down the schools when you were younger. So what was that turning point for you?
It's just dealing with mass murders. You know, I lost a lot of friends, brothers and best friends, family members. And it's a cycle. It's the same thing over and over again. So if you're 11 years old and by the time you turn 13, you got a new set of friends. And by the time you turn 15, there's a new set of friends. And by the time you finish high school, you got a new set of friends, and you're looking around, and you know, all of these situations, you're like one of the last people left. And you know, and then I went into the street myself for a while, and I made money. And with money comes exposure. And with exposure comes all of these different opportunities where you can realize that you can make money doing anything if you're good at it. You don't have to stay in your neighborhood. You don't have to sell drugs. You don't have to rob, steal, kill, whatever. There's so many different ways to make money and to live a meaningful life. So I just wanted to be a person to build. And I've been working hard at it ever since.
Watkins received his Master's in Education and Master's of Fine Arts in Creative Writing from Baltimore University and Johns Hopkins.
The way I teach, or my philosophy on teaching, basically comes from a place of exploration. I like to give my students the opportunity to explore, you know, to think. I like for them to challenge the traditions and the things that they were taught or the things that they watch on television. and you know, think outside of these different things.
Yeah.
I challenge my students with all types of tasks, arguing things from perspectives that aren't what they really feel. Just everything about understanding different people and learning how to explore.
Are they normally open to the challenge? Do you see them changing within your program?
Sometimes they're terrified when I give these assignments out, but it's beautiful because they come in with everyone else's ideas, and then they become critical thinkers and they leave with their own. And this is why I love teaching so much. It's the best gift you can give to someone is the ability to help them understand that their thoughts are relevant and valid, and they have the luxury of developing their own instead of just being what everyone else wants them to be. Beyond Baltimore, there's a history of it being a major disconnect between police officers and the citizens of black communities. In white communities, they protect and serve. In black communities, they enforce. And that's a problem.
Yeah.
A lot of them don't even get a chance to understand the population of people that they're working with. So if I don't know you, if I don't live in your city, if I don't understand how you grew up or your culture, maybe I don't even see you as a person. It's very easy for me to talk to you like trash. Look at some of these videos. Pay attention to the language. When these videos go viral, listen to how the cops talk to the people who end up being shot.
Yeah.
It's always, shut the F up, F this, F this, F that. Who's gonna be receptive to that? Like, you're not gonna talk to me like that. So I could easily end up in that type of situation.
And anybody can.
Because I wouldn't come off and talk to you like that. I would treat you as a person. And I would like to be treated the same way.
So what do you think can be done to just improve law enforcement as a whole?
So in America, we have a collection of civilian review boards where the citizens can actually elect commissioners, recommend disciplinary actions to officers who are caught up in these types of situations. The problem is that they have no power. They're underfunded, ignored, and almost treated as a joke. So we need to strengthen civilian review boards, for one. For two, police officers who work in Baltimore City should have to live in Baltimore City. Better yet, they should have to live in neighborhoods that kind of mirror where they're patrolling. You know, a lot of police officers in Baltimore live in Pennsylvania. You know, I think it's some crazy stat that said like 85 to 90% of them don't even live in Baltimore. So they don't understand the people, they don't understand the culture, they don't really know what's going on. So we need to figure out a way to get them more involved in the community, if not living there. And then we need to focus on these civilian review boards so that they can actually be held accountable when they commit these crimes. So there's zero transparency, and we gotta get away from that. We gotta re-amend these police officers' Bill of Rights. We gotta strengthen them review boards, and we just gotta create more transparency.